So I have here titanium buff, and I'm going to put ultramarine violet in it. Let me see if I remove this a bit so you can see it's not that, it looks very light right now on the camera, but it's not that light. Because of the ultramarine violet, it's a bit darker than what you see. I'm not concerned about the direction of the brush. And hopefully you'll see, you'll still see a bit of that. Those lines that you have. If you make it like a glaze, don't put water in it. Put water in your paint. If you make it as a glaze, you should be able to see the color still. I don't think we decided, we picked a color for the door, the pub and the windows. I still think a green should be a good color, I think. Sure, but wait, what do you think? Maybe an earthy green should be okay. Okay, I'm going to stop recording for now. We're going to highlight this area here, the top part, and I'm using burnt sienna and titanium buff to highlight it. Small brush. I'm going with the movement of the walls going in, so we can just highlight mainly a bit the top part, and you'll see in a minute we're going to put the white band that goes all around this pub or this building. No need to go all the way. We are highlighting mostly where the focal point is. Now, I'm going to highlight this area too a bit. And again, what you see on the monitor is not that light. The colors I'm using are not that light. I am using burnt sienna, and it's Winsor & Newton. So again, Winsor & Newton burnt sienna is always more orange. And you can see right away, because I highlighted behind the sign, you can see that it looks like the sign is casting a shadow over the wall, and that's what the sign is doing, actually casting a shadow over the wall. I'm not going to bother with this side up here. And I'm just putting another, my colors are not very thick. Okay, so use a bit of water. So make your color a bit transparent, a bit, not much, but don't go with thick color. That's what I do. I usually mix my color and then I wipe my brush a bit. Now, I'm going to come here. This part of the center rounded building, architecture, whatever, this is where the light is mostly. here. And here, you'll see I'm going to take a bit more of my titanium buff into my burnt sienna and highlight the inside part of that window. Not from the way up, all the way up. If you have a look at your the reference, you'll see that the inside part of the window is highlighted more because the light is coming from this side, from the left. And you see it's not highlighted all the way. I'll show you in a minute. The upper part of this window inside is darker, right there. And it goes just down a bit on the side and then it's highlighted. So we're going to do that. I'm going to take, I can take a bit of burnt sienna, burnt umber, and put some burnt sienna in it, just a bit, just to give it that reddish color. And then go in. Again, this is the top part of the window, and you'll see it more once we highlight the window. You'll see all of that detail that I'm trying to put in here. And I'm going to do a bit of the side, and I'm using a round brush.
Now that was just burnt umber?
That's burnt umber with a touch of burnt sienna, just a bit. Now I'm going to do the same with the window on the side, sideways here. And I know there's, and I'll show you, don't worry about that little detail that goes in, the off-white color. Don't worry about that. Just put the dark. And again, a bit down. And now I'm going to switch back to what I was doing before, burnt sienna and titanium buff. We can see the side of that wall, the depth of that brick in there. Now, I know this is a tight brick in there, like it's a lot of kind of little lines in here for the brick. We're not going to do this. What I usually do is I take burnt sienna, I put a bit of burnt umber in it, touch, and then highlight it a bit with titanium buff, so it's not too dark. And what I do is I put a suggestion of brick, because there's no way we can sit there and put each one of those little bricks. I mean, I like detail, but I don't like detail that much. that will give a suggestion of brick right there. And it's easier to do. Now with this back to the window here, it has a bit of a detail, it goes in like that, and you're welcome to put it if you like, or not, it's up to you. But I think it adds a bit to the window. Now in here, we can, with a round brush and some brown burnt umber and burnt sienna, and it's like a glaze. It's not heavy. So I'm gonna put some of this detail in here. And it's just kind of enough of a suggestion to give it some kind of interesting look. I know I'm going fast. I will stop in a minute. But before I do this, I'm going to take titanium buff. And I'm going to keep it simple. Titanium buff and a touch of burnt umber. And that tiny titanium buff, burnt umber. Round brush, making my color a bit wet. Clean up. And I'm going to come here. We are going to put flowers over this detail, so I'm not too concerned. I'm just putting it there just in case in between the flowers you see the detail above the window. But most of this detail is going to be covered. Because architecture drawing is like that, detail. I'm just adjusting the shape. Okay, bottom part is the same but darker. So it's just brown. I'm just using brown and titanium buff. Now we're going to do the second one. And that's even darker. When it's darker, it's better because you don't have to work with details too much. You don't have to worry about details. Okay.
What color is that, Liel?
It's just titanium buff and brown, burnt umber. Brown. I'm going to even darken this here, just too light.
So it's the same as the one on the left, but
Yeah, yeah.
more burnt umber.
Yes, yes, just a little bit more burnt umber in here. Exactly the same. You see even in the reference, you see a big bouquet of flowers up there here, a basket. So it's going to be covered. Okay. Oh, geez. All right. Let's not get carried away here. This is again brown, so it's titanium buff and burnt umber. I find those window frames in the picture, in the reference, a bit too strong, but too white, but that's okay. We will highlight part of it anyway after. I'm going to stop recording so you can catch up. So we're going to highlight this part of the wall right here. There will be a lot of we're going to have plants in here, so I'm not worried too much about detail here. And where there are plants, I like to keep a bit of dark because that's what plants do. They cast shadows.
Yeah.
So I don't want to highlight too much.
There's no other line on the left side of the window, like that stretch we have on the right, like the black one that you have on the right. We don't.
Oh no,
have-
I'm gonna put it right now when yeah, it should be there.
Right.
Right, it should be there, but I'm just gonna add it when I do the off-white color.
Mhm.
I'll do it right now, actually. So with this one, I'm just going to use the same colors I'm using for the windows. So it's titanium buff and brown, burnt umber. At least for this first layer. And I know it's very light in that reference. It's like almost white, but we're not going to do that. It's too white in there. It's going to take over if it's okay. So
Yeah, brown and buff.
that's titanium buff with the burnt umber.
Burnt umber, yeah.
Yeah. then I will decide later on if I want to highlight it a bit. And I'm going to be putting a lot of flowers in here, pots, and I mean hanging baskets. So not a lot of this is going to show, but okay. With this underneath detail, architectural detail, I'm going to mix brown, burnt umber, titanium buff, and a bit of ultramarine violet as well. Because this ultramarine violet is going to tone down my colors enough to have a good base, a dark base. So when I start highlighting to get the detail, to show the detail, it'll be easier. It'll be easy to highlight. I don't want it to be too brown. If I go too much with brown in there, it'll be too much brown, actually. So this way, when I put the titanium buff with brown and ultramarine violet, the ultramarine violet will break that strong brown in there. Okay, so
What did you have inside? Burnt umber, ultramarine violet?
yep, and titanium buff.
Buff, okay.
Oh.
I'm really not following anything. I'm just going. I know I do have a little bit of a detail in there that I drew already, but I'm not following it. Whatever I get in here is fine. It's too much, too many lines in here in the original. It's beautiful, but it's just too much work. Go darker than what you see. If you're doing this, make sure that you go darker than what you see on the monitor. The monitor is showing light, too light. It's darker than this. So when you mix titanium buff with burnt umber and ultramarine violet, you'll get the right color. But it's definitely darker than what you see.
Yeah, because what we see is practically white.
Yes, no, it's not. It's not, absolutely not. It's really kind of a,
I see a grayish sort of, yeah, gray.
yeah, you see a light gray. That's what it, because I'm seeing the same thing on the monitor. On my monitor, I'm seeing the same thing. I always like to make sure that I start with dark, because if I start with dark, I can easily control and adjust and fix any problem. But if I start with light, then it's very hard to control whatever you're doing. You know, I don't have any lights on my, all the window shutters are, the windows are closed, and I have no lights here at all. And I have no idea why this is showing that light. Anyway. I love this little detail here. I don't know what they are, but they look like little kind of round
The lights. Those are Christmas.
balls. Are they?
It looks like it.
They're beautiful. I love them.
Yeah,
I
I thought
love-
it looked like lights as well, like those kind of fairy Christmas light look.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Because
gonna-
they're not even, they're not.
I'm gonna put them because I love them.
Mhm.
Good, but it's like that, yeah.
Cute. Okay. Since I'm doing this, I'm just gonna kind of put a bit of detail here for the windows. Simple.
I guess I forgot to paint that brown part right above your tiny little lights. What color is that?
This?
Above the big light, like in where their tiny little lights are, you just put in
Oh,
above that, what, that brownish color underneath there.
oh, that's the same as the wall that we painted here. So it was what was it? It was burnt sienna, ultramarine violet, burnt sienna and ultramarine violet. I would keep it that way. Just a bit of ultramarine violet in your burnt sienna, because there's going to be there are going to be flowers in here. So it's mostly in dark, dark. Yeah, mostly dark.
I forgot to paint that.
Yeah, same as the wall in here, same. And we highlighted with Naples yellow for highlight. So it's burnt sienna and ultramarine violet. Oh, I can hear your cat.
I know, I don't know what he's howling at. He was looking out the window at something, but I don't know. Mhm. I'm sure he's fine. Must be another cat or a bird or something out there.
My cat does that only when she wants to eat. Other than that, I don't see her.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see her.
She probably sleeps a lot. She's getting older.
Yeah, she sleeps all day. Well, I mean, if she's not eating, she's sleeping.
Wonder how they survive in the wild if they're wildcats. All they do is eat.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Not
Diana,
only,
what is that that you painted? Is that like a board?
yeah, in the reference, there's like an architectural detail underneath. It's like this one here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And you use the same color, okay. I see.
Yeah, just same colors I'm using. I'm just gonna highlight it a bit on this side. Just like that. Just give it, it looks like it's on an angle. I'm not too concerned about this because it's, again, we're going to be adding plants on top, so we're not gonna see it. It's beautiful architectural detail, but it's a lot of work. But that's what makes it interesting when you're doing architectural detail. It's just those details that you put in there makes a big difference.
Talking of architectural detail, have you ever heard of those? I think they're called wind towers. The buildings, some of the buildings that are like in Egypt and stuff,
Oh, yes, yes.
they have like where the air comes in through the towers at the top
Right.
and then goes down, and sometimes if they have like an underground pool or something, then the water goes down and then it circulates back up. I saw that this morning and thought about
Where did you see it?
it was on sort of like on the Google feed, because they were talking about how, you know, how such an old architectural technology to cool the building that we need to start looking at doing more stuff like that for
Right.
climate
Yeah.
change and stuff. That's really interesting.
I'm highlighting this area a bit with just adding a bit of titanium buff in here. And I'm going to start highlighting this as well. A bit of titanium buff, just the start, you know, just this area where it catches light, not the whole thing. The inside, the bottom part should stay darker. Now I'm going to go in where the black is in between when everything's dry. And I'm just going to change that black into dark brown or even dark purple. Wow, looks so bright on the monitor. Hmm. It's too bright on the monitor. Just make sure you don't go that bright. I'm trying every position to see if it helps with lighting. So to fill this black in between, I'm using burnt umber, a bit of black in my burnt umber that makes it a bit gray, and titanium buff, a touch of titanium buff. You don't want it to be too dark. I'm going to take the same combination. So I have black now, burnt umber, a bit of titanium buff, water to glaze, to make it more like a glaze. It's a grayish brown. And I'm going to come here. Whoop, that needs a bit more black. I know they say don't use black, but actually sometimes I like using the black. I like the effect of that. And I'm just gonna kind of glaze a bit over here just to give it that depth. This is just black on my brush. But my brush is, this black on my brush is just very, it's like a glaze. It's not heavy. It's not dark. And it's a very soft glaze. Okay, now I'm going to go back to titanium buff and pull some more titanium buff into that color that I started using for the, oops. Just want to have a soft transition from light to dark. So I just pulled titanium buff into the same black and brown. I just added more titanium buff. That's it. There. Let's fill this a bit so it doesn't look like. Black, too black in here. Okay. All right. I'm gonna take a bit more titanium buff, make it into, mix it with the same mixture, kind of muddy mixture I have here. Adjust a bit. And it's more like a glaze. And I'm using just the tip of my brush, more like very, very soft. It's like using a feather. Okay. Highlight just tiny bit. Let's see, just tiny bit more this side with titanium buff. Mixed again into the same mixture. So it's not just titanium buff by itself. And I'm gonna leave, wow, it's strong. Just gonna leave this part. I'm just gonna leave this part a little bit darker. Okay, now. Okay, so now I'm pulling a bit more titanium buff again into that mixture, and I'm just gonna come here and highlight this part. Again, titanium buff. And I'm gonna come here and then highlight from here down. From here. Not all the way up. Again. Perfect. Okay. I'll take a picture of this and email it, then you'll see the color better, I hope.